Hi everyone, well we're back here again, and I've got another request video here that I'm going to take a stab at. Um, Somewhere along the line here I've lost it. I've got so many titles. Where the hell is it? Oh, okay, sorry about that. Um, Lady named Stephanie, and I always like this title, Twins Who Are Aware of Mission, How to Bring It Together. One of the things that I have noticed over the years in regards to twin flames is there seems to be two segments or two sections of the twin flame community. There are those who, and I previously discussed this, are simply into the relationship aspects of the twin flame connection or the twin flame energy. That's all they're interested in. That's all they care about. They just want to be with their twin flame. They don't care about anything else. And I've done the video on that. Then there are the others who are magnificently obsessed with the idea of mission. And there are a very limited number of those because these are the ones that I recognize as being the volunteers coming in, and they know they have a mission. And one of the questions I get from them quite often is, how do we bring it together? Well, I've got some suggestions in that department, and I'm speaking strictly here to those who are mission oriented. And the first thing that I would say to you here is this, and I'm speaking directly to this group. Your mission is not specifically required to have the other one with you. Mission can be completed with or without your twin flame, one way or the other. It can be a lot more fun, obviously, when you're with your twin flame partner and you have the mission and you're doing it together. Two heads are obviously better than one. But on the other hand, that's a 3D perception of it, when in reality, to be honest, well, a lot of what's been happening lately, and I'm seeing this more and more, and I'm getting more and more people that I've been connecting with and counseling with, a lot of you twins that are mission oriented are experiencing more and more stuff going on in the etheric realm. I mean, you're not just playing hide the wiener in the etheric realm, all right? You're actually doing mission work, you're doing planning, you're doing thinking, you're meeting, you're actually doing things together, and it always seems to be like you're doing it in the third or the fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh dimension reality, whatever, and you're doing it. Well, what you're doing in essence is you're creating and you're doing the mission in the etheric realm. But what it's doing is, because you're in three-dimensional reality, there's a filter system where this is filtering down to people in three-dimensional reality who you physically come in contact with. Now, I'm going to kind of try to explain this. Again, some of you are going to find me a little off the wall in some of the things that I'm going to say here, but the real twin flames are going to know what the hell I'm talking about. For those of you who are just into relationship and you just want to be a twin, you just want to be with your twin flame, this video is not going to resonate with you at all right? So you might as well go and see one of the teapot and card ladies or whatever kind of thing and kind of get your rocks off with them. So anyways, as I was saying, the idea here is when you're doing and coming in contact with your twin, you know the mission is there. Here's what you also need to know, besides doing it in the etheric realm. First of all, you all know this, is you've got to get it together individually, all right? And for those of you who have awakened to a certain point, the other thing that you've realized, if you are mission oriented, and this is in contradiction to some others who promote it this way, is you know full well that you can't heal your twin flame. Your twin flame has to do their own shit themselves. It's called initiation, all right? And everyone has to go through dealing with their own stuff. And you, being a twin flame, cannot interfere or interject or do anything in the three-dimensional way to assist your twin flame or actually do healing work on your twin flame. You've got to work with yourself. And anybody who tells you otherwise, and I don't care who they are full of shit. That's what twin flames do, and that's the way it's going to be if you're going to be mission oriented. Now, the other thing that's important here is this, is once you begin to work with your own stuff, you will become aware of fragments or pieces of the mission. Depending upon where your twin flame is, he or she, if they're doing their stuff, will become more aware of fragments or bits and pieces of the mission format. At that point, if, and I'm speaking here as if you're doing it together, at this point, I'm taking it together at this point. I'll get to the single part in a minute. What'll happen is you'll start to do something together in the physical, and it may be just a little thing. It may not even be, world shaking or even shaking the neighborhood or anything like that. You'll start to do something where you're jointly working together in some venue, some avenue, something together. When you're doing this, what's going to happen is this. If you go back, and I want everybody to think about this for a moment. Whenever a set of twin flames come together, you've heard me use the term bubble love comes into play. And you go into that mystical exalted state, all right? That's the form and the shape of potentially a twin flame union, all right? It gives you the template. It gives you something to shoot for. It doesn't have to be perfect what you do, but reasonably close will do. So you have the form, the shape, the template. You both know it's there if you've both experienced it together. I'm talking about if the two of you experienced it together. So what happens is when you start doing something together, and it may be very small, what you're doing is you're recreating that third energy. You're recreating a very, very small version of the bubble love again, because you're integrating all the cylinders are firing together. All right, you've got 12 chakra system in the both of you, and you're firing back and forth together. You're in unison, all right, and you're in union, and everything's flowing. So what happens is you're very successful. You still may have some issues that you need to resolve at a personal level, but now you've made a step forward. So what happens is, again, the twin flame volunteers that are coming in that are mission oriented already know what the plan is. And I tell this to a lot of twin flames when I'm counseling them. If you knew totally what the mission was right now, today, in the situation and where you are today, would you be able to handle it, knowing what it is? And I'll bet you $10 that 95 or 99%, 99.9% of you would say, no, you wouldn't be able to handle it, because I'll tell you something. If I knew now, and Nicole knew, what we were going to be involved with and what we were going to be doing 20 years ago when we first came together, I would have said, you're full of shit. Literally. It's not going to happen. Because I was not capable, ready, or even remotely close to understanding what was going on. And I'll tell you something else. When you are ready, when you are doing the individual work, going through the initiation yourself, and you take the first little baby steps together, the next little piece of information or awareness will come to you. It'll be a knowing. And you'll go through another little initiation, all right? And these little initiations are coming together, or melding and merging and growing and evolving, come gradually. Okay, you know what you're going for because you've been there, all right? And you gradually go into it, and another piece will unfold. Person will come to you. Some new circumstance will attract itself to you. Or you'll get an inspiration or a revelation, as you call it here, and another piece of the mission will come into play, and the opportunity will present itself. But here's the thing that you have to remember here, guys, is is, you know, as the mission unfolds before you, as you start to grow, you need to understand that you need to be ready consciously. Your consciousness has to be at a point of development and maturity so you're able to handle the next thing in the mission format that's coming. Otherwise, what's the point of giving it to you? There's no point in you being aware of it if you're not ready to handle it or deal with it. Doing the twin flame mission is not kids' play. This is a sacred responsibility, and you need to take it very seriously. And you're not going to be given the mission until you're consciously, maturity-wise, and spiritually ready to know. And that's why I won't give people their mission format. And when I'm doing a reading for people, Higher Self John, he won't tell them what the mission is either. He will usually sometimes give them a snippet from what I understand, but he won't tell them because they're not ready at that moment to know what it is. As they're ready, as they grow and they evolve, and they get to that point and they have the consciousness to be able to digest it, then the next piece will come, and so on and so on and so on. Does this not make sense to you? I mean, otherwise I'm blowing smoke up my ass. Am I talking to the right people here? I think so. Right? This is not about Twinkies. The Twinkies who want their just a relationship and live in the burbs and be in love and great sex and wine and fantasy and all that poop. That's soulmates pretending to be twin flames. And that's okay. That's who they are. We're talking mission here. We're talking twin flames. We're talking serious stuff here. Now this applies to the individual or to the couple, okay? And the mission format. So how do you bring it more into being? When you find out that you've got the first little thing and you start working to it, all right? You need to do something, and that's two things you need to do. You need to commit to doing it, and you need to be dedicated. Without commitment or dedication, which is similar in the same thing almost, all right? There's no point in you going any further in the mission unless you follow through with the first. You have to remember something that you have amongst a set of twin flames, whether you're together or not, you have, and I'm going to use this term, an oversoul. Oversoul consciousness is there all the time. Okay, some other will say higher self. I'm at the point now where I'm moving into the oversoul perspective because it's a higher vibration than higher self. And you have that oversoul perspective in the back always there. It's never gone. It's never gone far. But it doesn't experience 3D reality the way you do. All right? It experiences reality from the dimension that it exists in, which is home. And home and this place is two different places altogether. So when you're doing this, and as you commit and get dedicated to doing it, what happens is the energy between the two of you moves up. And at that point, whatever issues or problems or little innuendos that need to come up that will prevent you from developing your leadership, your confidence, your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-love, whatever you want to call it, all manifesting through the heart center, has to change. You will find out that doing the twin flame mission, you're not going to have a lot of friends. You can't afford friends. Twin flames doing the mission do not have a lot of friends. They can't afford them. They're a luxury they can't afford. That's another tip that I will give you. All right, if you want friends and doing the twin flame mission, it's going to turn into a disaster because you're leaders. You're leading. You're not a social group, and you don't sit around and you don't sit there and gossip about what's going on Saturday night and what's the greatest television show that's watching. And oh, gee whiz, I bought a new purse. And oh, gosh, we're going to go to a party this weekend. We're going to have wine and fun. You're mission oriented. That's what your obsession is. You think about, you live, you breathe, you talk, you spit, you fart, you shit. Mission. That's what twin flames do. And if you're not in that capacity, you don't understand what I'm saying, you are not a set of original twin flames, period. And you are not going to get into the mission format in any way, shape, or form, even though you think you may be. I'm talking to twin flames mission oriented. So now as this unfolds, you get more aware of what's going on. You start getting more people coming toward you. You start getting new opportunities coming toward you. So let me put it to you this way. When Nicole and I first started out 20 years ago, we knew we were twin flames, and we were definitely raw and definitely rough. And I'm still raw and rough when I'm up on YouTube, and that's who I am. It's not going to change. If you can't handle me, get the hell off my channel, period. Because I'm just going to get bigger, badder, bolder, and stronger as I go along. I'm what they call a 74-year-old dynamite in a box. And it's getting better. I got more dynamite in a bigger box. Okay. Now that the fun's over. All right. Now, to get going here, if and when during this time it doesn't work with your twin flame, let's say for the moment that we now discussed the mission between a couple, and I've given you enough information to titillate your fancies that you may want to inquire more about my knowledge to share with you or discuss with you. Let's go now to the opposite side of the fence where somebody and the twin flame connection didn't work. The one thing that I want to emphasize here too is that, and this is important because people need to remember that. When we came in as volunteers and into the twin flame community, we knew full well that this wasn't going to be a cakewalk and it wasn't going to be a bowl of cherries. We also knew that there was going to be collateral damage, that some of us were not going to make it. Why? Because some of these soul groups that we're coming into are really screwed up. And some of us would get buried, literally, in not being able to get out of the patterns, not being able to get out of the dysfunctional energies, and not being able to get out of the hereditary and genetic traits that we would take on from any particular family. So what happened is it didn't work. What happens to that particular set, or what happens to the other individual who wants to go on with the mission format? At that point, this is what happens. The individual would be in an accepting of the situation that it's not going to happen and would want to go on. At that point, they would decide at an individual level as to whether they want to find another partner reasonably close or acceptable to them that may want to serve the journey and the mission for them. And if they are at that mindset in their consciousness, they would then attract to themselves someone of that mindset, that vibration. Now, some people will call it a twin flame. I would call it the appropriate vibration and attraction that is suitable to continue the mission format. You can call it what you want. You can call it a twin flame if you want, or a replacement, whatever you want to call it. Or if you made the decision you want to do it alone, what happens then is what would have happened if you had attracted another person. You still have access to your twin flame partner, okay? And what happens is the etheric connection between you and your displaced twin would then be enhanced. And you would be experiencing, communicating, connecting, doing all kinds of things in the etheric plane. The only thing that would be missing would be the physical connection and what would go on if you were doing the joint mission together. So what would happen is if you decided that you wanted another partner and you attracted the other partner, you would have that partner, and you would also still have the etheric connection at all the other levels except three-dimensional level connection with your twin flame, the original volunteer party energy being that you came in with. So you would have these two going with you, and some people are going to go, oh God, there goes Millie's off again, he's into an orgy and all kinds of swinging and all kinds of shit. No, I'm not talking about swinging or any of that shit. I'm talking about what is going on, what is happening. We've got lots of things happening and changing and very quickly, and so many people are so slow to get out of the looping thing, they're going to get left behind if they don't get their ass in gear. So when you do it this way, and you have this kind of a scenario going on with the individual by themselves, what happens to the mission format? How does it express? It would express through the etheric connection. Because the volunteer coming in split into segments or sections, and it can be more than one or two or three, there can be a multiple bunch of them. What would happen is all of the agreements or the plan would still be there with the original twin that's in a different soul group. So it's still there at an etheric level. So all of that can be accessed. In other words, if your twin flame is gone and you haven't seen him or her, whatever, for years, you still have access to all of the mission format, the mission planning, the mission information at the etheric level. And you can continue on with another person that has come up in the body. You can call it your twin flame if you want. The label here is really irrelevant, to be quite honest with you. And I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to say it again probably for the last time, that within a few years, probably 5 years or so down the road, maybe at that time, the label twin flame will simply cease to exist, all right? And what will happen at that particular point is we will be more open to conscious connection of mission format and understand what a lot of people are doing, these volunteers coming in, and the label won't be as much importance as it is now to so many people. And the reason it's so important to so many people right now is simply this. Let's be candid here just for a moment. I'm going to go off topic here. Most of us, most people in physical reality are leading basically average, mediocre lives. They're not really going anywhere. They're just working at jobs, careers, living in the burbs, having families, and everybody wants to feel unique. Everybody wants to be special. Everybody wants to be part of a tribe or some kind of group or some kind of form of elitism, whatever it may be. And very obviously, Twin Flame fills that bill. All you got to do is take a look on YouTube and see all of the teapot and card ladies, the astrologers, and the mediums, and the whatevers. Everybody's in there now, all right? And they're there because it's in vogue and it's in vibration, and it makes everybody feel important. And that's the ego. As we progress along in our spiritual growth, feeding the ego and get it more and more inflated will not be such a big obsession as it is with so many people at this particular point in time. There is a place for ego, but it's not in elitism in the sense of titles and ranking and feeling special about something because you're a twin flame. Let me tell you something. If there's one thing that I don't feel is unique and special about being a twin flame, because it's hard work. All right, this is not a picnic. I love what I do, and I'm suited for it, but this is not a picnic doing the mission. And most of you already know that in the mission format. So individually, at that point, the other thing that will happen is this, all right, and I need to touch on this for a moment. At no point is any set of volunteer twin flames that come in, are they alone, just with the two of them. They have their other aspects of themselves that are there, and you can access the information from your other aspects also by connecting with them. Transference can take place, but also you have access to your oversoul, the group mind or the group consciousness, if you want to call it, the collective, if you will. And also you have others, volunteers who have not returned, that you have access to, who are there of assistance, who are there connected with you energetically. So there's no such thing as a volunteer twin flame doing the mission that's alone. If you're doing the mission, you have lots of help. The problem is you can get locked into 3D perspectives and belief system, and you filter out a lot of the good stuff that's in there, all right? So, having said that to you, also, I can say this, all right? And the final thing that I want to say is for those of you who are out there that are doing the mission, and you know you're going to be doing the mission and you want to do the mission, here's what I suggest. Take the time to go sorting, okay, discerning. Look through YouTube videos, look through the internet, look through blogs and vogs or whatever the hell you want to call them. Find twin flames, find other volunteers, find those that you know that are twin flames that are doing the mission. Get in contact with them, stay in contact with them, because when you do this, you have a support system. And a support system amongst twin flame is very highly essential at this particular point in time. We need to set up a collective. That collective amongst twin flames has not been set up with any great degree of prominence at this particular point in time. It needs to be set up, all right? So when you find what you believe is a set, get in contact, stay in connection, because what can happen is twin flames look at me, I'm a first waver, obviously, all right? And I've seen the second wave come in and the third wave come in, and I've seen the chaos and the shit that's been going on. So I've got a lot of exposure, and I can transfer that through transference in connection with you. I do this, I do this even when I do a video, believe it or not. I can actually, with some of you, depending on where you are and who you are, and you know I'm doing it, I make a connection with you at the heart center chakra as you watch this YouTube video. You could be in la la land while you're watching me shooting off my mouth. And what's happening is we're transferring, we're sharing, we're melding, we're merging, we're exchanging energy. The transference is going on. Doesn't mean that I'm in love with you and you're in love with me. It means that an exchange is going on and it's at a very high vibrational level. This is what the twin flames can do. The more you eliminate the 3D debris from your belief systems, your etheric body, and the rest of it, the more you open up to the higher dimensions. And what happens is, and eventually, what happens is your body, your physical body begins to lose density. And your body can actually begin to move up into the higher densities, or the higher vibrations, excuse me, also. And this is what's happening right now. We're transitioning into that, all right? Now, I really enjoyed doing this video, and there's, like I said, once I open my mouth, I'm like a Encyclopedia Britannica. It just comes, okay? I call it direct connect. And it gives me the information to give to you. Whether it's right or wrong is not for me to decide, but just give it in that sense. So, again, additional information is there, if you want it, if you need assistance or help. I think by now everybody knows where to find us and how to get a hold of us without me repeating it all over again. Have a great day, everybody. I really enjoyed doing this one, and I'm glad that party made the request. Have a good day.